Welcome to the Solid Verbal. The Solid Verbal.
Come after me! I'm a man! I'm 40!
I've heard so many players say, well, I want to be happy. You want to be happy for a day? Eat a steak.
It's that woo-woo!
And now, Dan and Ty.
Welcome back to the Solid Verbal Boys and Girls. My name is Ty Hildebrand. Joining me, as always, back in New York City, my man, Dan Rubenstein. Sir, how are you?
Ty, I've got some sad news.
Oh, what's wrong?
I do. Obviously, you know of the storms that are coming. The ridiculous, what is it, Florence?
Florence, yeah.
Hurricane Florence. And by the way, this is not a joke. Everybody, if you are in the storm's path, we hope that you stay safe, and we hope your housing and your friends and family stay safe.
Oh, for sure.
Don't take chances.
Please be safe.
So it's altered the schedule of college football. It's altered games. Some are canceled, some are moved, whatever. And one of those that was moved to this very moment during which we're recording, Coastal Carolina is laying waste to your Campbell Fighting Camels, Ty.
Whoa.
And I know you have been so high on Campbell this year. And we talked before this started, and you were reeling and you were unsure if you could do the show, but here you are fighting through as a professional. It's not looking good for Campbell. Coastal Carolina up 31 late in the fourth. But wow. You know what, Ty? If nothing else, this show stands by the resolute attitude of Fighting Camel Nation. Excuse me. Fighting Camel Nation. Here's us.
Almost made it through that, Dan.
I did. Whatever. Coastal Carolina. That's cool.
Yeah, well, welcome back to the Solid Verbal, boys and girls. Thank you so much for downloading the show. Don't forget, please call in wherever you may be this weekend. As Dan said, with the storm, hopefully you're safe. I realize many people may be downloading and or listening to the show en route to safer shelter.
Or Nashville for Ohio, Virginia.
Yeah, or
Virginia
Nashville.
Fans and Ohio fans, yeah.
Wherever you might be, thank you so much for listening. Please do give us a call at 408-VERBAL-1. That's 408-837-2251. Give us a call this weekend as the games are going on. You can also find us tweeting out there on the Twitter. We're on Facebook. We're on Instagram. We also have a subreddit created by some of our most hardcore fans, which you can find at reddit.com/r/solidverbal. As you mentioned, we do have a number of games that were moved around due to Hurricane Florence. For as much as we like to joke on this show about the monsoon games, my hunch is that there still will be monsoon games to deal with along the eastern seaboard this weekend. But the most notable games that have been adjusted: West Virginia at NC State, UCF at UNC, ECU at Virginia Tech, where else? Marshall at South Carolina. All those games have been canceled. We also have some that have been moved up, like Georgia Southern at Clemson, Ohio at Virginia, which has just been straight up moved to Nashville. BC at Wake has been moved up, I think, to 5:30 on Thursday, I want to say. So a bunch of scheduling nightmares are playing themselves out right now just because of that hurricane. But we will have college football elsewhere, and we will talk about that here on our Wednesday preview show.
Yeah, and you said you wanted to sort of take a moment or two to talk about Guilford and Davidson and how that short week affects the depth and affects play calling and game planning. So, I mean, the floor is yours, Ty. So everybody stay safe, stay warm, seek shelter if you need to. And we'll see what happens with these games, if they're made up or not.
All right, let's go to a news segment if we could, just for 1 second, if that's okay with you.
Always.
We have breaking news!
Please tell me the fighting camels. Here they come.
We get off the fighting camels, bro.
I love a good camel. Come on.
Rodney Anderson out for the year for Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Rodney Anderson, their star running back. We talked an awful lot about him through 2 weeks. I think I said in both weeks that he would have a monster game. A very good running back. Sad to see him be out now with a knee injury. Thankfully, Oklahoma is deep enough. I don't think it'll be too big of a setback, but he was one of those pillars in this Oklahoma offense that I thought was going to give them a lot of extra pop in the 2018 season. So it's sad to see this.
Yeah, and shorter term, Bryce Love not playing this weekend, I believe, for Stanford, but is expected to be back for Stanford, Oregon in a couple weeks, which is now, I think, a prime time. I don't know if it's ABC or ESPN, but it's one of the prime time games with two ranked teams. So, yeah, he took a hit against USC. Rodney Smith from Minnesota.
Yeah.
Also, that's significant. He was a workhorse for that offense as Minnesota was improving. Nice, first week win over Fresno State. So not a good Rodney week.
No.
Of all the Rodney weeks that we love and cherish, and I'm being serious, that it sucks to see Rodney Anderson and Rodney Smith both going down. Two players I think we were looking forward to watching this season.
Daniel, shall we jump right into week 3?
I think it's time. Yeah, let's just do it.
Dan, time, help. I need picks of the week.
We're only 6 minutes into the show, and already we're talking college football. That has to be a world record for us.
There's just too much to talk about, Ty. There's too many games. There's too many interesting storylines. And hold on, just checking on the Camels. Too many interesting new teams playing early Wednesday games. Yes, we got to talk college football, Ty.
What is your general impression looking at this week?
The week is deep with interesting games. The headliners look to be better than last week. I like the mesh point between really good group of 5 teams or programs, whatever, and Power 5 programs. I mean, probably the least of which is San Diego State, ASU. Aztecs beat Stanford last year, not looking the same early this year, but still time to turn it around. Boise State, Oklahoma State, a headliner. Even North Texas, Arkansas. Just in terms of entertainment, I will watch some of the Mean Green there because I just like Mason Fine in the Mean Green. So a good mesh point. I'm sure I'm missing some and we'll get to them, but I like that element of week 3.
I think it's a great week of games. It's definitely better than week 2. What I would say next, though, is use your window of opportunity. Use your window of opportunity very carefully. You'll remember a week ago, I said you could take the week off if you absolutely had to, if your significant other, your family, your friends had something for you to do that you just couldn't move. I would understand. We would forgive you here on the Solid Verbal if you decided to take the week off.
Right.
You've already been forgiven if you fall into that category.
I won't forgive you, but Ty is a much nicer person.
I am a much nicer person than Dan.
Yeah.
I have forgiven you, so rest easy. This week, you got to be home by 5 p.m. Eastern. No ifs, ands, or buts. You got to catch the end of LSU, Auburn. You got to catch the end of Boise State, Oklahoma State. You got to give yourself some time to come up with a setup that makes sense because you're going to have an interesting 3-game weave to deal with in the nightcap. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about what the volume game is going to be and what should be loaded up on your secondary and
tertiary, Ty? Is that what you're
tertiary
gonna go
displays, yeah.
Okay.
Thank you for saving me there.
There's a lot of good stuff. Like even, I know you said that you can skip the afternoon, which is if you're going to skip a chunk, that's probably the move. But yeah, LSU Auburn is 3:30. Even Miami Toledo, another one of those group of 5 Power 5s. Toledo's fun. Toledo's good and has been consistently that way. Oklahoma in a revenge spot. Iowa State early. Vandy Notre Dame. I mean, you can just picture what Ty is going to be like,
right,
as that game is happening. But you can catch the end of that game as well. Presumably, it's going to end around 6 probably.
Yeah, right.
So yeah, you'll catch the end of a lot of interesting stuff. But that, man, I will be only speaking for myself here. I will be glued all afternoon, all evening, because that LSU Auburn and Boise State Oklahoma State at 3:30 is going to be hell of a duo.
We will get to that. We will talk about that. A lot of interesting TV choices need to be made here. Hopefully we can suss all that out. Don't forget, get on out there, file your entry for the week 3 pick'em pool. If you want to get there, real easy, just go to solidverbal.com/pick'em. P-I-C-K-E-M, all one word. solidverbal.com/pick'em. I finally figured out how to wire that address up correctly.
Ooh, okay.
If you type it in, you go right to the game now. Not to our page. You go right to the game. Sign up. It'll take you a couple minutes. You can do it on the phone. Our friends over at Chalkline have done an amazing job getting that set up. So get those picks in. It's free if you haven't already played. You can pick up anytime you want. All right. Let's get to our headlining acts for week 3.
Okay.
It starts at 3:30 on CBS between LSU and the Auburn Tigers. This line initially opened at 10 points in favor of Auburn. Came down a little bit. It's at 9.5 in favor of the Tigers. You know my stance on LSU. I was definitive, let's say, preseason when I said 7-5, and I think Ed Orgeron's going to get fired. That's about as hot takesy as I get. I'm not an opinionated person in general.
True.
Maybe against the grain. I'm just not all that opinionated on things. I felt very strongly about this. And, you know, I'm still not gung-ho on the Joe Burrow, Joe Dirt thing. I know it's early. I don't think he's that great.
Okay.
The running game so far has been fine. We'll see if Nick Brissett can sustain, what is it, like 6.5 a carry? He's had a good year through 2 weeks. He's been very good. I've resigned myself at this point to the fact that we may not see a wide open LSU offense ever again in my lifetime. But
really, come on, keep the faith.
Sure. The defense is legit. The defense is legit, and it's dawning on me very suddenly that I may have overlooked the way that LSU can change a game with its defense, and especially in a game like this against Auburn, which, look, we saw them against Washington, and they did not light the world on fire with that running game, with that passing game, left a lot to be desired. So my initial lean here is LSU because I think their defense can take matters a bit into their own hands. What do you think?
So this has been a strange series these past few years, right? So last year, Auburn looked to be in control and laid an egg in the second half, and LSU got some timely big plays. I think DJ Chark had a big second half for the Tigers. The year before, I want to say, is the game that got Les Miles fired. It was like 18-14, 18-13. So there was something weird there. The year before that, I think Auburn really had a nice day against LSU. So this is like a budding, fun matchup, sort of the modern big matchups in the SEC. If you like LSU here, you have to figure that LSU is going to score or help to generate points on defense. Because offensively, it doesn't look like Joe Burrow right now has the confidence to consistently go downfield against really good defenses and take the game on his shoulders. Would be happy to be proven wrong. Absolutely. Auburn, meanwhile, second half struggles. I mean, you mentioned the thing against Washington. I think they scored 6 points in the second half. Granted, a very, very good Washington defense. But as I just mentioned before, last year's second half play calling struggles were very, very real for Auburn. They became very predictable, which is not particularly nice against a defense we think that is as good as LSU's is. I am more worried about quarterback play for LSU than I am the Auburn play calling.
Okay.
It seems like a lot of points, but I think Auburn has this by like 13. I think I'm going to say something like 31-18.
Yeah.
Auburn
I mean, I'm just not very confident. I would never want to actually bet money on this game. It feels to me like there could be a late cover one way or the other, whether it's the backdoor cover, the front door cover. I don't think anyone's getting blown out here, but I don't think LSU's going to win the game outright. It just feels like a lot of points to me, 9.5, 10, in a game that could easily devolve into a defensive slugfest. So I'm going to take the opposite side of this argument. I think LSU covers, which is barely something like 23-15.
Yeah. Okay. That's reasonable. I mean, LSU's defense might be too good for the Tigers, the LSU Tigers, the Bengals, to lose by more than, 7, 8, 9 points. That might just be the reality of a defense that's that good, even though they've taken a hit at linebacker. So I'm totally with you. I just think right now, I don't know where the points come from unless there is like a Greedy Williams pick six or scoop and score or something like that. So that's where I am.
Now, my caveat here, and then we'll move on to Boise State, Oklahoma State.
Yes.
If I'm being honest, I was looking for reasons to not like Auburn when I was doing my research. There was a little bit of confirmation bias there. I had a tough time finding reasons because Auburn's a very good team, and they clearly focused on their running game last week, which is the only real question about how consistent they can be on offense. Jarrett Stidham's a good passer. He's going to have a good year. The question is, what's the running game look like? can they be consistent on the ground in a system that relies a lot on that ground effectiveness? It's a good bet that Gus Malzahn's going to figure something out in due time. Will he figure it out against a really good defense? That's what remains to be seen. I say
that Gus Malzahn offense.
That's right, Gus Malzahn off. I say Auburn wins the game 23-15. LSU barely covers.
We disagree, but not in a hatred-y way.
Moving on, Saturday, 3:30, another game, another big game, and 3:30 on ESPN. We've got Boise State traveling to Oklahoma State. Right now, the point spread is a field goal in favor of the Cowboys. This is one of those games, Dan. We talked about it in the preseason when we were previewing the Big 12, when we were previewing Boise State. For me personally, of all the good games that we have this week, I think I'm most excited for this one.
Yeah, this is a spicy one. First of all, kudos to Oklahoma State, and I believe Florida State. They're both going to be going to Boise in the coming years.
Right, that's correct.
I think the Florida State game is in Jacksonville on the way back, but both of these teams are going to be playing on the Smurf turf in the years to come. So it's just great that we have this kind of home and home. And we know one thing about this game definitively. Boise State is probably really good.
Yes.
When I say definitively and say probably, I know that contradicts myself, but here we are. I would say Boise State is good. I'm pretty sure Oklahoma State is good. There's not a lot of evidence right now given their opponents, and not that Boise State has, taken down two huge Power 5 programs, because they haven't. They've beaten Troy and UConn. But they've done so, the way they've handled their business has been so decisive. And the number of upperclassmen they're playing that are performing at a high level, I am most confident right now in the efficiency and the destructive nature of Boise State, more so than I am Taylor Cornelius and his very good receivers, a defense that has looked very good early for the Cowboys. The fact that this is in Stillwater, albeit it's at 3:30, right? This is, fans aren't going to be drinking all day for an 8 p.m. kickoff. I like Boise State outright here. I think it's come down to 2.5 points a little bit, so maybe there's a little bit of money swaying in the Smurf direction. I'm going to go with Boise State here outright. I just feel good about this being that, I don't want to say perfect year, but everything has come together quite nicely for Boise.
Wow. Interesting.
Yeah. And there's nothing I don't like about Oklahoma State right now.
Okay.
There's just, to me, right now, and I know they have Sir Blitz a lot, their new defensive coordinator, Jim Knowles from Duke. But right now, early on in the season, I looked at some of the numbers, and it's sort of a toss-up in terms of covering for Oklahoma State at home these past few years. I'm going to go with Boise.
Okay. Fair. There's a day and age when I would have looked at this game and would have been wowed by the firepower of Oklahoma State's offense.
Like Uncle Vern. Wow.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That is still true to some extent. I do think, though, in my older and wiser years, Dan, I tend to lean more towards solid defense. It's just, it happens as you get older. You take the money out of the stocks, you put them into dividends. That's how I feel about moving away from my old ways of
It looks like they both have solid defenses.
Well, they do, but whose do you trust more, Dan? I think I trust Boise State. They bring nearly everybody back. And Oklahoma State traditionally hasn't always had the best defense, not one that you could count on week in, week out like you can Boise. So this is a solid, experienced team coming down from Idaho. They've got a great pass rush, a good back seven. Oklahoma State is going to score points, but I think I trust Boise's defense more to get stops, to force mistakes, to sit down in that turnover throne. So I love Taylor Cornelius as a starter. He's a big dude. He's still inexperienced as a starter, and Boise State will find a way to exploit that. If this game were in Boise, I think the Broncos would be favored by a touchdown, because I just think they're the better team. I agree with you. Boise wins this game outright on the road. A good game, a fun game, maybe the best game of the day, 33-31.
And just to all of our listeners that are in the fine state of Idaho, when Ty says Boise, What he really means is Boise.
Boise.
Because
yes.
every time I get it. I am picky about that kind of stuff. But yeah, apparently it's Boise. Like
Boise.
Boy-C. Yeah.
Like Globe, right?
I like Globe. I've only learned this recently, Ty.
Boise.
It's new to me too.
Boise.
Yeah.
Am I doing that right?
You're nailing it, Ty.
Can we play another game here very quickly?
Let me stretch. I just got a good little dip. My hammies are feeling good. Let's do it.
I have yet to work up a sound for this. If somebody wants to send one in, solidverbal@gmail.com. I want to play a game here titled, Is It Better Than the Turnover Thrown?
Okay.
Because I don't think anything's better than Boise's turnover thrown.
So this is the new, are they sexier than
Right.
Randy Edsall?
That's correct. Is Florida State's turnover backpack better than Boise State's turnover thrown? Yes or no?
It is not, but I'm waiting to see if the Broncos will travel with the throne. A traveling throne is mind-bendingly good.
I agree.
What about Ty? Can we do a bonus? Sorry to interrupt.
No, go.
It's not a turnover prop, but the pancake syrup. Did you see that?
Oh, well, they take the shot of it.
They take a shot at an offensive line coach, I believe, gives an offensive lineman after he pancakes somebody on the field a little shot of syrup, like he's getting a spritz of Gatorade.
Whoa. Did you say syrup?
Syrup? I don't know. I vary it.
Okay.
I think I'm if I'm going to sit and pause my brain, it is maple syrup. Is that good?
That's acceptable. Yeah.
Okay. Whew.
I don't think anything's better than the turnover thrown, although the shot of maple syrup is pretty fun.
I like it.
All right. So we agree here then. Boise State. Both taking Boise State outright.
And once again, any school can do this. The turnover with Apple turnovers.
That's a free suggestion here from
what
Solid
are we
Verbal.
doing? Get on it.
Let's go to Saturday, 7 p.m. on ESPN as we get into our nightcaps. It is Alabama at Ole Miss. This line opened at 22 in favor of the Crimson Tide. It's come down to about 20 and a half or 21 points. Let me start here. On a very basic level, is there any potential, any whatsoever, that this game could end up being a shootout? Yes or no?
No.
No.
I don't think so. I mean, think about what would have to change between last year and this year. So we have more continuity. Matt Luke knows this is his job. Jordan Ta'amu is the actual starter. Shea Patterson played in this game. Ta'amu. Shea Patterson played in this game super poorly last year for Ole Miss. The receiving core, the same for Ole Miss. They're a little bit better running the ball. Alabama appears to be even more of a juggernaut on offense, and that's without Calvin Ridley. It's early. We haven't seen them against their best opponents, but Tua in there at quarterback has given them a dimension that should scare like the Browns. How about we do that talk radio thing? Ole Miss lost this game 66-3 last year. So in looking at what has changed, I'm not seeing enough. Do I love watching this Ole Miss team? Oh, I absolutely do. This is what was the name of E Honda's 1000 slap? You know what I'm talking about,
I have
right?
zero idea what you're talking about.
E Honda from Street Fighter 2.
Okay.
You know, the sumo wrestler, like the jacked sumo wrestler.
Yeah.
And he's got the 1000, the really fast hands.
Okay.
So basically, where my brain is at is Ole Miss is content just doing that one move and not worrying about anything else.
They're going
to try to kill you on offense.
Yeah.
Yes. They're going to run their RPOs. They're going to go deep to these amazing receivers. They're going to get some production out of Scotty Phillips. And then defensively, they're like, well, whatever happens, happens, And that is probably not a winning formula for hanging with Alabama.
Yeah. I think Ole Miss is going to have to win a bunch of shootouts this year, and they've got enough firepower on offense to do that. Statistically, after 2 weeks, they're the best offense in the country.
Yeah.
Best offense, most efficient offense in the country. They're going to be able to score points against Alabama. How long will that last is the question here. To win, they almost need to score on every drive. Every time they get the ball, because their defense has zero chance of bottling up Bama. Not on the ground, not through the air. Like you said last week, right? Ole Miss is Texas Tech with slacks. Mm-hmm. This is a lot of points in a game that I think Ole Miss can score. I like that they're at home. I desperately want to take points here and side with the home dog, but I can't do it. I can't do it. I think Bama wins 52-28. They cover the point spread. Maybe it's close for a quarter and a half, and then eventually they just run it down their throats with Harris Ranch and control the clock.
63-point deficit is what we're coming back from, which is so many points. Yeah, I think you're right. You have them scoring 28 points?
28 points, yeah. 52-28.
So the case, I suppose, for Ole Miss is that if there is an inexperienced, a green part of this Alabama team, it's their secondary, which matches up nicely for Ole Miss. But, yeah, I have this. What's the official spread once again?
20.5 here on my sheet.
20.5, about 3 touchdowns. I'm taking Alabama here. They've just reached a point in my brain where I'm going to say, 48-17.
Okay.
It's comfortable. Yeah.
So we're agreeing again.
We agree.
Let's go to another Saturday night game. This is my volume game. Should we talk about what a volume game is so people know what we're talking about?
By all means. Yeah.
Volume game is something that I think you came up with a couple years ago. Mm-hmm. But that's when you've got a bunch of games that you're watching simultaneously. So maybe you're streaming one on the laptop or the iPad or the phone. You've also got one on your standard TV in the living room, in the family room. Mm-hmm. And the question is, well, which one do you turn the volume up for? Can't have all the volume up at once. You'll go nuts. Right. Ohio State versus TCU in Arlington this week, Saturday, 8 p.m., ABC. That's my volume game. I think that's got to be the volume game, right?
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Right now, Ohio State is favored by 13 points. An awful lot of points here, if I'm being honest.
It does feel like many, yeah.
Here are the 3 questions I have. Is Urban Meyer coaching this game?
He's not. I mean, I don't know if he's shadow coaching or something like that, but he won't be on the sidelines, no.
He will not be on the sidelines. Ryan Day is the gentleman who is coaching Ohio State. Even though Urban was allowed to coach during the week, Ryan Day is going to be there on the sidelines. It's fair to ask whether that has any effect here because Gary Patterson on the other sideline is a very good coach. I don't think this has much of an effect. I know Ryan Day isn't Urban, but he's probably going to be a head coach soon. He's pretty good in his own right. So for my money, is it fair to just throw that aside, cast that aside as being any kind of competitive disadvantage for Ohio State?
Yes, it is a competitive disadvantage to not have their longtime and current head coach on the sidelines. Because if it's close, if something major happens and a major call needs to be made, Urban Meyer is more familiar with the protocols and the talent and the in-game situations that he's been in before, which Ryan Day cannot draw on in the same way.
But is it enough of a quote-unquote disadvantage that we should really even be talking about it? I don't think it is here.
I mean, it hasn't manifested itself against Oregon State and Rutgers, but that's to be expected. I think it's a competitive disadvantage. I don't think it's going to alter the game significantly, but if you're looking at advantages and disadvantages, right now, Gary Patterson has an advantage over Ryan Day. Sure.
Okay, so we sort of disagree on that.
We sort of disagree.
Yeah, I don't worry as much about it. Doesn't sound like you are either, but we both agree to some extent that it's a little bit of a disadvantage. Fine. Point 2, can Ohio State's offense continue being this crazy efficient against one of the better defenses they're going to see all season in the form of TCU?
No.
No.
They're operating on a runaway train level right now with the duo of Mike Weber and J.K. Dobbins, the way the receivers are playing. Johnny Dixon looks like a big play guy. And both, I mean, I guess Dwayne Haskins and Tate Martell played, but Haskins is the starter. But they themselves are running this offense. You know when they talk about the high-speed trading?
Yeah.
Where it's like, microseconds faster than the next.
Yes.
That's how they're running this offense with that level of precision.
Yeah.
So it won't continue against TCU. Gary Patterson will design and game plan a defense. He has the speed, he has the talent. He has the talent up front, especially to slow down what Ohio State has been just demolishing these teams with.
I agree with you. There's no way they could run through TCU the way they've run through their first two opponents. There's no TCU's better. So
right.
Just by default, it's got to be harder. They're still loaded across the board on offense, though, and they're not going to be shut down. TCU will provide more resistance, but they're not going to be able to shut off the spigot here.
Right.
Ohio State's still going to be pretty good. The third question, about which I'm very skeptical, is whether TCU can exploit Ohio State on defense, particularly Ohio State's back seven, which is super talented in their own right, but somewhat inexperienced. It would seem to me that if you're Gary Patterson, if you're trying to build an offensive game plan, that's how you might go at the Buckeyes here. Can they exploit that, Dan?
I think at times they might be able to get a little bit, but the big thing for Ohio State is they don't need a lot of dudes to get pressure. They're going to have two safeties back. There's going to be help. There are going to be bodies in the defensive backfield. And I really like TCU's receivers. It feels like Kavonte Turpin has been there since 2003.
Yeah.
I like their capability. Jalen Reagor, he came out last year at the end of the year in the bowl game as a big play receiver, but consistently against this defense, looking into the face of this Ohio State defensive line, Sean Robinson, this is his first actual test. SMU, and I think they had Southern the first week of the season, has not necessarily prepared him to take this game on his shoulders, which if TCU is going to do it, that's what's going to have to happen. Baker Mayfield did it last year and was crazy impressive doing it on the road, planting the flag. I don't think you need to be like an all-time quarterback like Baker Mayfield is and was to beat Ohio State, but it's got to be something probably experience-wise between Sean Robinson and what he's shown thus far with this offense. And I just don't think he has the full playbook at his hands. Yeah. And where Baker Mayfield was.
There hasn't been anything glaringly wrong with TCU's offense. I just have a lot of questions about it. I think Ohio State and their defensive line.
This offense has been good.
They've been fine.
And it was gross weather last week. Sure,
it took them a little bit to get going, but right there, like I said, there's not been anything glaringly wrong with it. I just have questions against a team like an Ohio State, with, as you mentioned, a really good defensive line that can get pressure. They can still play two high safeties in the back. I think the line is what sways this game in the direction of the Buckeyes here, and. You combine that with all the playmakers they have on offense, so many different ways they can beat you. I got to go Ohio State here. I think they win. I think they cover, but barely, like 31-17, something in that neighborhood.
Yeah, I think I agree. And one of the reasons, by the way, because you talk about the competitive advantage or disadvantage between Ryan Day and Gary Patterson without having Urban Meyer there, Dwayne Haskins in his first two games, both against Power 5 opponents, not great Power 5 opponents, actually very bad Power 5 opponents, has rushed the ball 4 times. JT Barrett against both non-Power 5 opponents. One of them was Indiana, and the other one was, I believe, Army, and they were bracketing the Oklahoma game from last year. So 2 non-huge games for Ohio State. Ran the ball 20 times.
Yeah, that's
with
different.
Urban Meyer having live input into play calls. I understand JT Barrett. His strengths are different from Dwayne Haskins. Haskins clearly a better pure passer. But if there's anything that I like about what Ohio State has looked like and the momentum that they've generated early, it's that they're trusting the skill players. They're trusting Mike Weber and J.K. Dobbins, Paris Campbell, whoever, to just be themselves and let Dwayne Haskins be the point guard of this offense and not count on him for both his legs and his arm. So that is encouraging to me. I agree with you. I have this at like 37-20. Ohio State wins this game, but it's pretty close at halftime, and just the depth and how much it's going to take out of TCU to hang with Ohio State. I think the Bucks win this.
Maybe a little bit of a front door cover where Ohio State's up by 7 late and they get a late touchdown to put them over the top just relative to the point spread. Something
I could see that.
So we agree again.
We agree.
Wow.
I should also mention Terry McLaurin has been great too.
Oh my God.
Big play receiver for Ohio State. Yeah.
For sure. By the way, I wanted to bring this up, and it jogged my memory because you were talking about JT Barrett's legs. Did you happen to see the Athletic piece that our friend Nicole Auerbach put together about Pat Fitzgerald and the RPOs?
Yes. So Nicole did an excellent job of saying, all right, I get it. He sounds kind of weird. This is what his point was. This is how he made it kind of weird, but the point is valid. And so
explain this to me now, because I've had a chance to skim over this a couple times. I want to make sure we're very clear as to what Pat Fitzgerald said about the run pass option.
Yeah, one of those things that is just great about the Athletic. It's not just like, LOL, look what Pat Fitzgerald said. Post.
Right.
It's like, all right, this is what's going on. This is what he meant. This is the reaction of other coaches in the last couple of years reacting to what they consider the unfair nature of RPOs. The big complaint is you've got 3 yards for offensive linemen to be downfield, blocking on any given passing play. And incidentally, that has been stretched a little bit. And it's a pretty unenforceable thing with refs' eyes being everywhere. Is he 3.8 yards past the line of scrimmage? Is he 2.1? And so it is a rule that teams with offensive coordinators looking to bend the rules, which is like everybody, they've taken advantage of. They have said, you know what? Let them call a penalty. It's worth it for us. You know, if you remember Gus Malzahn, this was a point Nicole made in her piece, and the Nick Marshall touchdown pass to Sammy Coates a few years ago in the Iron Bowl, where he looked like he was running with the ball, then just sort of threw it at the last second to a wide open Sammy Coates as his offensive linemen were blocking for him. And Nicole just did a really good job of translating Pat Fitzgerald into human college football language. And that's just what's great about Nicole and the Athletic. So big fan of everything they're doing.
I mean, we should point out that Pat Fitzgerald said that RPOs are communist, right? That's what he said.
Yes, and it was unclear why the illusion. I mean, I understand how it was like RPOs are bigger and you can't speak back and blah blah blah, and it's a system now. I like that he went for it.
Yeah,
I always like when coaches go for it,
steer into it.
And I definitely do understand where he's coming from. And I think that's the crux of Nicole's piece. But I also, listen, if a rule exists, do everything you can to milk that rule for all it's worth. I understand that too, because they're going to fire you anyway. So do everything you can to win and get yards. Yeah.
All right. Well, the deal is still in place, by the way. We talk about the Athletic.
Unbelievable deal.
Yeah, theathletic.com/solidverbal gets you 40% off your first year's subscription. The feedback has been overwhelmingly positive thus far. You can get it for $2.99 a month. Everyone who has signed up has written back to us. Well, maybe not everybody who's signed up has written to us, but
good chunk.
We've had a chunk of people who have signed up who have said, "Wow, I've been missing out here by not doing this sooner." So
I always, every single person, again, not every single person, but I can't believe it took me this long.
Yep.
Yeah. It's great.
Theathletic.com/solidverbal, 40% off. Just $2.99 a month. Get on out there before the deal expires and sign yourself up.
Can I also, real quick, before another deal expires?
Yeah.
Our green icons shirt, back available. CottonBureau.com. If you go to Cotton Bureau, you will see our green icon shirt with a bunch of little flat icons, solid verbal shirt. It's unbelievably comfortable. Also, I believe our hat is back on sale that we released recently. Sort of an early season surprise. Go to cottonbureau.com. I think, does solidverbal.com/store still work, Ty?
Solidverbal.com/store will work. I promise.
Yep.
As will just going to solidverbal.com and clicking on the store button in the top right.
I take it back. Solidverbal.com/store does not work.
It will work. It will work.
Oh, it will work.
By the time the show gets posted, I promise I'll have that figured out.
The store button definitely works. I just clicked it. You have 2 weeks. We're recording this on Wednesday, September 12th. 2 weeks right now. We are releasing the icon tee back into the wild, as well as our script hat.
Absolutely. And there are more shirts on the way.
Yes, keep checking.
Bit of a tease coming your way. But yeah, get on out there, buy the Icon shirt, and by all means, send us pictures. Let us know where you're at wearing the Icon shirt.
Shout out Ken Greeley, by the way.
Our boy, yeah.
Oh my gosh. All right. More football?
More football. So we talked about the volume game. The volume game unanimously here is Ohio State against TCU, the neutral sider being played in Arlington. You can definitely make a very good case that as that game is starting up, you move Alabama, Ole Miss, which should be fun for some period of time, over onto your secondary display. Maybe put it on mute. Just monitor it in your peripheral vision while you're watching Ohio State TCU. The question then becomes, where do you put USC at Texas? Because that game also kicks off at 8. It's on Fox. Texas is a 3.5 point favorite. Now, this isn't nearly as high level a game as the Ohio State TCU game, but it's going to be fun. I think we know it's going to be fun. There's history between these two schools, not just the national championship that played out in the Rose Bowl a couple years back, but also the renewal of the rivalry, 27-24, that we saw last year where USC won that game out in California. Now, this new rivalry comes back to the great state of Texas. Texas is the favorite. You would assume that there is some bit of revenge on the mind of Tom Herman. I think this is a fun game. I'd be more inclined to watch this game than I think Alabama-Ole Miss, because I think this one has a better chance of being close late.
You know what I think is on the mind of Tom Herman? This is, if I were to do an impression of what is inside the brain of Tom Herman, it would simply be, how do we get first downs? We need more first downs. What are we doing? Stop holding people.
Dan, I can't think of any game we have done in the last 10 years. A big, high-level game, nationally prominent game in the last 10 years that I've been less confident in. I have no idea which direction this game's going.
Also, Ty, do you know that it's been 12 years since the Vince Young game? Woo!
Wow. Getting late early here.
Yeah, getting late early. So I have, this game is not going to be all that pretty to watch. This game was, I think, extraordinarily entertaining last year, going to overtime. Colin Johnson had that huge game. Sam Darnold made some huge throws. This year's iteration, we've got USC coming off of a 3-point performance at Stanford.
Yep.
I think they scored 42 against Stanford last season, something like that. And Texas coming off of a real threat from Tulsa.
Yeah.
And a loss against Maryland. So it's not, I understand the vigor with which you spoke in going into this game, but the sort of like, gentlemen, start your engines. Like, all right, engines died. Because this is 3 points and Tim Beck. This is rough. So you're going to allow me to bet against USC on the road a week after Stanford, depending on how much you believe in the body blow theory, which mathematically has never been proven.
Never.
A week after Stanford, never been proven. JT Daniels has a dinged up hand, but he should play in this game. But they really did struggle going downfield consistently or getting any sort of big plays against the Stanford defense. The strength of this Texas team is definitely on defense. It's at Texas. I really don't like taking dogs on their second straight road week unless it's so uneven. And this feels relatively even. Two teams with talent, with early season offensive struggles. I'm going to happily take the Horns. And they're going to win by 7 to 10 points. They're not even just going to edge USC out. Yeah, I think they're going to win this game. And it might give them a false sense of security that everything is figured out, but it's not a good spot for USC just in terms of momentum and a second straight week going back and forth. And it's not a long flight from USC to Stanford, but it's just tough. The routine isn't there for USC. Give me the Horns.
Okay. I'm really torn here. Both teams have their fair share of questions. At least the USC questions, I feel like I can understand those. You lose Sam Darnold, you lose Ronald Jones, you lose a couple guys on both sides of the trenches. That makes sense to me that we're going to see some early season hiccups. Mm-hmm. That computes. So far, I've just been really underwhelmed by the Texas offense. The defense is fine. I guess I thought they'd be better against the run, but they're fine. They'll be fine. Offensively, I don't get it. They should be better than what we've seen so far. So with that being said, I had a really strong initial pull towards USC. And then I thought about it more, and I remembered my rule where it's better to bet against my initial instinct. And I came back with, all right, I saw the Stanford game. It left a bit to be desired. And 2, Tom Herman does have a knack for coaching big games. This is a bit of a revenge spot for him after losing by a field goal last year.
We need first downs.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah,
I'm gonna agree with you here. I am very
I think
tired.
Sam Darnold was better than we thought.
Yeah.
I think that might be a thing. Yeah.
I'm very tired of being burnt by Texas, but I think I got to go with the Horns minus the points here. Second straight road game. A lot to ask of JT Daniels. Tough beat for him in his first 3 starts to have 2 tough road spots, one against Stanford, now against Texas. Mm-hmm. I don't know what the final score is, Dan. I think this game could be close late, but I'm going to go with Texas to win by like a touchdown, let's say 27-20, somewhere in that vicinity.
Yeah, I think that's right. I have 31-24.
All right. We agree. We agree. We're agreeing about everything. Remains to be seen where this game should fall on your display. If you're one of those crazy verballers who has like 5 TVs set up, then you've clearly got a screen for a game like this. My question is whether or not this game replaces Alabama Ole Miss on your secondary display.
I don't think Alabama Ole Miss is going to be a game an hour in. So
okay. All right.
I feel good about USC-Texas. And also, Ty, as an aside, because we did our Consumption Junction episode, which, by the way, totally forgot that the phrase Consumption Junction was a really gross thing early in the 2000s. Early on, my streaming situation, awful.
Really?
Really, really, really bad. And I don't know whose fault it is, because I've counted on Watch ESPN in years past, or the ESPN Plus, or excuse me, just the regular ESPN app. I actually really like the ESPN Plus app. But my Roku and the ESPN app on Saturdays, they are not playing well. And I don't know if the issue's on Roku's end or on ESPN's end.
I thought it was just my lousy internet that was causing that, but
it's a known issue. If you go on, I think I looked it up on Twitter, there's a lot of people tweeting at ESPN's support account for their app or whatever. And it's like, it's a known issue. We're working hard to figure out how to blah, blah, blah. And I'm sure it's fine with YouTube TV.
Right.
Is that what you use?
Yeah.
But the ESPN app itself is not playing nicely with the Roku early on. And it has thrown me into a panic. And I've Chromecasted as a way around it, but it is not fun, Ty. I watched a good chunk of Clemson, Texas A&M in Spanish, which, by the way, pretty good experience. Pretty good experience. A lot of carumbas, but we need to get this all squared, because I do like Kirk Herbstreit and I do like Adam Amin coming through my sweet, sweet soundbar. So that's all. Let's get it fixed, everybody. Come on.
A lot of carumbas. All right.
A lot of carumbas. I just made that up. I don't think there were many carumbas.
Well, speaking of ESPN, let's move to Saturday night at 10 p.m. Eastern, the late game. So, presumably, this game could replace your primary or secondary display, depending on how things go in those earlier games. This one kicks off later. It is Washington at Utah. The line opened at Washington minus 6.5. It has come down a little bit. It's now at Washington minus 6. Dan, can we take a knee here for a second? Can we have some real talk?
Yeah. Everybody huddle up.
Washington should destroy Utah, right?
Whoa!
They just should do that.
Why?
Have you watched Utah so far?
I know, but the best recent Washington team needed a Dante Pettis punt return to beat a good Utah team. I think they were good. I don't remember.
Kyle Whittingham, he said it himself. It's an average Utah football team right now.
Well, is he saying that because he was given truth serum, or is he saying that to get his team locked in?
Did you watch what happened last week?
I did. They were good, especially up front. A
very average football team.
Correct. I think they only had one offensive touchdown, right? There was a punt return touchdown.
Something like that.
Gave them their other visit to the end zone. Yeah, it was not pretty.
This is an average team. I agree with Kyle Whittingham. I still, though, am spooked by Washington because it feels to me like they've got another gear on offense. And it's not just me. Everyone's in the same boat. Talk to Washington fans. Go read what they write on their message boards. They are frustrated, too, because they have not gotten there yet either.
Correct.
I can't see Washington losing this game. And better on both sides of the ball. This isn't going to be like the Auburn game. They don't need a stellar effort from Jake Browning to win and cover here. So I like Washington fairly comfortably. I like them 30-14.
Wow.
I have zero faith in Utah right now, but I always have zero faith in Utah. I realize openly that this is the kind of game that gets me in trouble. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to stick by my initial assessment. I'm going to say Washington minus the points. I'm going to file that in my pick'em pool official ballot.
Okay.
This is a game in the past that would have locked up for Washington. I am not going to do that here. I am recognizing the error of my ways. I'm just going to say Washington 30-14, no lock here.
30-14, no lock. Have you learned no lesson, Ty? Utah has a very, very good defense. They are playing at home. They are playing on a field that may be maintained by Mario Kart developers. Everybody always gets hurt. I know that. I think they may have replaced their turf recently. I have no idea. I just know the Utah field is where ligaments go to die.
Okay.
And maybe I hope they're not anybody's ligaments, but I am just going to point out pretty good teams, like we know Washington is at the very least. They may be very, very good. I think there's the class of the Pac-12 as we consider it now. But that is where at least pretty good teams with flaws, they look a little bit sluggish last week. The moments in the Auburn game weren't pretty by and large. That's where they go to be exposed. You might still win, but that's where they're exposed. Salt Lake City, Sac Lake City. I know they call it that. I don't know that Utah will win outright because Washington's the better team, but a really good defense at home at altitude. I'm going to gobble up those points and not think twice. I'm taking those points.
Gobbling up those points, huh?
I'm gobbling them up. Thanksgiving's not for another couple months, Ty, but gobble, gobble. Give me the Utes.
Man, Washington should win this game. They should win it comfortably. With all the talent they have on both sides of the football, there really is no excuse for them not to win and cover the spread.
But we also don't know this team. We know that they are around as good as Auburn, but we won't really know anything about this team until we see at least a couple decent Pac-12 games. So the story isn't fully written, obviously, on this Washington team. We know their receivers are probably better as a whole than where they were last year. Aaron Fuller's done a nice job. Ty Jones, Quentin Pounds, they performed well against Auburn. But do we know for certain that we know? I think we're pretty certain this defense is a top-tier national defense.
Agreed.
But that doesn't mean they can't lose 13-10 like they did last year to Arizona State on the road. Who does Washington have next week?
Arizona State at home.
So there's no real look-ahead factor, obviously.
So we disagree on
going to Utah. We disagree. I think it's going to be really interesting to watch. And this is a 10 Eastern kickoff.
Yeah.
Great job putting your headline Pac-12 game ending at 1:30 a.m. Eastern.
I will be asleep when this game ends, FYI.
I probably will, but I'm still going to take a coffee nap around 3:30 when the 3:30 game starts. So I am with the energy needed to get through as much of this game as possible. We're so old. We're so crazy.
It's happening.
Old. I love it.
What's your gray hair situation?
Oh, it's not going the right way. We're not trending in the right direction.
I'm going in the wrong direction currently.
I think I probably have more than you.
Oh, I don't know about that.
It's mostly in like side scalp.
I have more than Mama H at this point.
Is she? Well, She must be going to a salon or something to treat those roots.
No. Mama H has jet black hair.
Yeah, your family has good hair situation.
But I'm going in the wrong direction here on the sideburn area.
So poor sideburn area. Oh, what a retreat. Boo-hoo.
Let's talk about Bombas, Dan.
Okay.
The official sock of the Solid Verbal.
Wearing them as we speak.
They put 2 years of research and development. Mm-hmm. They've made multiple improvements in their design to make the most comfortable socks in the history of feet. Mm-hmm. That's quite a statement from Bombas. But they sent us a bunch many moons ago, years ago, when they first joined up with the Verbal. Mm-hmm. And they did again. The quality of these socks is second to none. They have an arch support system that it feels like it's hugging the arch of your foot, which is awesome. They've got technology in these socks that keep them up so they don't fall down. They stay in place. They don't leave a mark. They're the best. They've got super soft cotton. You never want to take these things off. You said on the show last week or the week before that whenever you've got a fresh pair of Bombas in the drawer, they're like the ace in the rotation. You just pull them out and throw them on the feet.
Great day. Yeah.
Doesn't matter whether you're a runner or a power walker or if you're just lounging around the house, Bombas is going to add to the comfort of your life. And Daniel, please, again, if you could for the jury, what is your main rule of life?
You're only as comfortable as your feet are. That's all it is.
Thank you.
That's the number one physical rule of a healthy, wealthy life. Keep your feet comfortable and dry and warm.
These socks, they feel like your feet just got a massage all day, every day, very soft, like you're walking on a pillow, walking on a cloud. I'm running out of superlatives to say here.
Here's what I'm going to tell you, Ty. I know you're very passionate about Bombas. I'm going to boil it down very simple for you. I own socks by a bunch of different companies. Big apparel, athletic apparel companies, whatever. Okay. And they're all fine, Ty. I'm not going to sit and trash the opponents, the Bombas competitors. But are we really in a place to settle for fine with something as important as our feet?
I don't think so.
I'm not.
No.
I know you're not.
I'm not.
And there is such a difference between fine and really good when it comes to socks. Whether it's winter and they have wool socks, whether you have the no-show socks like I think we both have, whether they're running socks, whether the crew socks, there's just something about quality. They're not expensive at all. They're just quality. Could not recommend living a quality life more from your feet on up.
Go to bombas.com/solid. That's BOMBAS.com/solid. And then when prompted, use the code SOLID, SOLID. You will get 20% off your very first order. That's BOMBAS.com/solid. Use the code SOLID and you will get 20% off your very first order.
Ty, let's leave it all behind and just sell socks full time.
Yeah, why not?
Let's do it.
Let's just do it, man.
Let's be legends.
Let's also talk about ZipRecruiter.
Okay.
All right. There are job sites out there that are going to send you the wrong resumes. Got to sort through them. Got to wait to try and find the right candidates to apply for your job. That is not the smart way to go about doing this. You know, someday when we're a multi-billion-dollar media organization here at Solid Verbal Media LLC, this is going to be a problem for us, Dan. We're going to need to find qualified candidates, and we're going to need to be able to find them quickly. That's why I think we'll eventually use ZipRecruiter. Because ZipRecruiter, what they do...
It's a certitude, yeah.
Yeah, what they do is they match up your job with the right people. It's proactive-minded. They've got...
Certainty is what I was going for there, Ty. Sorry, proactive.
That's right. They've got special matching technology. They scan thousands of resumes. They find the right people with the right skills and education and experience for your gig, and then they actively invite them to apply. So you get the right people and you get them quickly. Don't got to sort through the wrong stuff. Find the right candidates quickly. ZipRecruiter is rated number 1 by employers in the United States. That's a pretty notable statistic, don't you think?
100%. There's another statistic, 100%.
Right now, go to ZipRecruiter.com for free at ZipRecruiter.com/solid. ZipRecruiter.com/solid. It's free to go there. It's free to try. If you go to ZipRecruiter.com/solid, ZipRecruiter, a better way to hire, Dan.
Yes. Yes, it is.
Let's go to a few other oddball games. And I mean that with the utmost respect.
Wow. So much disrespect, though.
Maybe not the headliners, but definitely games that I think we want to talk about. Saturday at high noon on ESPN, we've got Florida State, a 4-point road favorite at Syracuse, Dan.
The Yakos, home dog of the week.
I like that.
It feels a little awkward to make this the home dog of the week, but the Carrier Dome's a weird place to play. Florida State has stumbled a bit in the early going here in the Willie Taggart era. I'm going to go Cuse outright. I'm not even going to think twice about it. They're my home dog of the week.
We agree. Yeah, the Carrier Dome, a lot of flawed teams, and Florida State is one of those flawed teams. Have a lot of struggles going in there. It's just a different environment. It's nowhere near the southern portion of the ACC. Florida State having its issues on offense, learning to execute this new lethal simplicity offense. The offensive line is beat up and not at all in rhythm together. DeAndre Francois has struggled for large swaths. Defensively, they gave up a ton through the air last week against Samford, an SEC team.
Yeah.
I have faith in Florida State in the long term, but right now, against grungy Eric Dungy. I believe also Notre Dame goes to the Carrier Dome this year. Oh, no, they're playing Yankee Stadium.
Yankee Stadium.
Correct, sorry. They're playing at, quote-unquote, Syracuse. It's not a true home game. But there is that game every year. Last year it was Clemson. We've seen it with Louisville. We've seen LSU with big struggles there for a large stretch of that last game. I am going to take Syracuse outright. I think they match up well. I think they're going to be able to take advantage through the air. They're not going to be able to run the ball, but that's not what they're about anyway. And if Syracuse is not particularly good on defense, which I don't think they are, that's a nice matchup to have against Florida State's offense, which has struggled to get any sort of rhythm. So, yeah, I'm going to take Syracuse outright.
Are you saying that the best defense is to play against Florida State's offense?
Yeah, the cure for the common defense? Is that where?
It could be headed there.
At this point, there's some truth to that. So, yeah, Florida State we talked about Boise State and taking care of business. There's something unbusiness-like right now about Florida State's offense.
We agree. Okay.
We agree.
Saturday at high noon, we've got Rutgers at Kansas. And Kansas is favored.
Yes.
We had to put this game on the run sheet here. Rutgers at Kansas. There is a comical quality to this, but would you ever want to give the points in a game like this? Yes or no?
Give the points?
Would you ever want to lay 3 points in a game like this?
Yeah.
Really?
Absolutely.
You're going to take Kansas minus something.
Kansas is favored against a Power 5 team. Kansas is favored against a Power 5 team. Kansas is favored against.
So you're going to lay the points in a game where Kansas is favored.
Yeah, I talked about it earlier with USC. I really don't like when teams with big questions, like Rutgers has at the moment, travel for 2 consecutive weeks.
Okay.
And as we know, the hornet's nest that is Lawrence, Kansas, is an unforgiving place. No, if you're going to look at 2 bad teams, one of them's playing on the road for the 2nd consecutive week, might as well just take the home team coming off of an energy-boosting win, Ty. Kansas on a win streak. The quest for 3 drives on.
Possible letdown spot here after breaking a 46-game road losing streak, something like that. I'm going to go Rutgers plus the points.
Boo!
Still a big fan of King Arthur. All right.
Okay, well.
Saturday at 4 p.m. on SEC Network. Colorado State. There's that team again.
Mm-hmm.
At Florida. Florida is a 19-point home favorite in what I guess we could lovingly refer to as the Jim McElwain Bowl. Florida lost last week to Kentucky, Dan. 27-16. I say this, I mean no disrespect to Kentucky because it was a well-deserved win. And they could have easily won by more than 11. We talked about that on Sunday.
Too. Yeah, they made it happen.
It is telling me something, though, that Florida could lose that game to Kentucky a week ago and still be favored by 19 points here. That Vegas is looking at this game, and they are not thinking very highly of Colorado State. That is my cue to take the Gators. I don't feel great about it, but I'm going to take Florida, and I'm just not going to think twice about it.
Colorado State on an SEC winning streak.
Also true.
Of one. Yeah, we talk about a cure for a common offense. I don't even know if Florida's offense can be considered common, but Colorado State's defense is there for you. Colorado State's defense is the AAA of wounded offenses.
Yes.
You're stranded out there not knowing which direction to turn, passing, running, calling in plays, not committing penalties. Well, Colorado State, middle of the night, early morning, hundreds of miles. They'll show up. They've got your back. You want to run on Colorado? Go for it. You want to pass? Go for it.
Are you defining some kind of booty call situation here?
No, I'm saying AAA. They're like a tow truck. They're a defensive tow truck to pull you out of the offensive mud.
Okay.
So because of that, I'm going to go with Florida. But my God, I'm just not going to watch any of this game.
Nope. We'll get back to you on Sunday
I'll watch
afternoon.
Extended highlights. Yeah.
Saturday, 4:15 on Fox. Houston at Texas Tech. Should actually be a fun little game here. Texas Tech favored by 2.5. I'm going to go Houston. I've got a thing for Houston this year. And Ed Oliver. Yeah, give me Houston outright.
I disagree. I think there might be a bit of a letdown situation after a big win against Arizona. Going to Lubbock, the concern for me is who's playing quarterback. Is it going to be McLean Carter Stadium? Is it going to be a backup? I think they played Lamar. So not a ton to glean from that from Tech last week, but generally my rule here would be in the shootout, take the points, but I think it's a letdown spot for Houston. I think Tech wins this game, a nice game against a Houston defense that is strong up front, but I think has some deficiencies in the back end.
All right, here we go.
Yeah.
This I think is going to be my lock of the week, all right?
Okay.
Saturday at 10:30, CBS Sports Network, Arizona State at San Diego State.
Take your coffee nap. It's all happening.
ASU is a 3-point road favorite. Now, what happened last week? Well, Arizona State, big home win in the desert, in the heat, over Michigan State. They've got a big game next week on the road against Washington. Daniel, look at this game and tell me it is not a letdown look-ahead sandwich.
Oh, look at that sandwich. I'm so hungry. I'm so hungry.
Oh, boy.
So not only is it a letdown look-ahead spot, I think we've also got a double home dog spot.
The Yakos. Home dog of the week.
And what the hell, while we're here, let's complete the Holy Trinity and lock up San Diego State.
Lock of the week.
You're locking up San Diego State.
Yes.
Okay. First, I disagree.
Okay.
So this is a perfect spot for San Diego State to win.
Yes.
San Diego State is down their starting quarterback. Their backup quarterback threw 2 picks against Sac State last week.
Yes.
He made some nice passes, granted, but was not the most consistent option last week. Freshman. They're playing in a crumbling NFL stadium still. And ASU has been, I think, a surprise, a revelation. We knew they had a couple of really strong pieces on defense, but what they did to Michigan State last week, even what they did to UTSA, is another taking care of business situation. Their coordinator, their new coordinator, obviously, under Herm Edwards, is Danny Gonzalez, who was the defensive coordinator at San Diego State last year. I think there are certain advantages that supersede the law of letdown look-aheadinessology. So I'm taking Arizona State here. I am so worried about this San Diego State offense being inept against the Sun Devil defense. How far away is from Phoenix from San Diego? It's like a half-hour flight. It's not bad. So I am rolling with the Sun Devils. I submit to you my Herm paper. Sorry, I apologize. I'm trying to figure out how to take that back in life.
Right.
ASU wins here by a couple touchdowns.
Whoa.
27-13. Yeah, they do.
I mean, what we one of us has to pick San Diego State here just to stay on brand.
So San Diego State gave up 220 some odd yards to JJ Arcega-Whiteside, which is how you pronounce it.
Right, correct. I'm with you.
Now the universe is like, we hear you, San Diego State. Also, here's N'Keal Harry. Also, so sorry about that.
I got to do it. I don't care if I'm wrong.
Okay.
There's a lot in favor of San Diego State here.
Arizona State, lock it up.
Whoa!
Lock of the week.
Okay.
Yep.
This game is all about pride here on the Verbal. I regret to say I'm going to wake up at 3 a.m. and check the result on my phone.
What are we wagering here? What breakfast item would you most like?
What I most like?
Yeah, are you a bagel? Do you want a breakfast burrito? Do you want
I like a breakfast
sandwich?
burrito.
You want pancakes?
No, breakfast burrito.
Breakfast burrito it is. This is our breakfast burrito game of the week.
Okay. All right, let's go quickly through a couple other games here. Boston College at Wake Forest. It's on Thursday. They've moved it up to 5:30. Boston College is a 6-point favorite. I'm going to go Wake Forest plus the points. I don't think Wake's all that bad.
So yeah, this is actually pretty good game-wise. I'm going to watch the hell out of this one. I think actually camera guy Dave is going to be in town, so we'll watch this together. Am I becoming best friends with BC's offense, having them played no one? I don't know, but I'm loving Boston College here. I'm in. Chips to the middle. I'm rolling with the dudes. Give me the Eagles.
We disagree. Saturday at 2:30 Eastern on NBC. We've got Vandy at Notre Dame. Notre Dame, a 14.5-point favorite. Look, Notre Dame should bomb Vandy. They should absolutely bomb Vandy. The only reason they don't is if they try the weird offensive trick again where they don't let Wimbush run and strange things happen. So I'm going to go Notre Dame, going to lay the points. They should kill Vanderbilt here. There is definitely a very real chance that this ends up being like a 10-point W.
Okay. So this is not, so bomb, but not limb from limb.
Yes, correct.
That's been one of my favorite calls that you've made in predicting games in recent years.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Notre Dame comfortably wins. I think last week may have been a bit of a letdown, not a letdown spot, but a letdown look ahead situation. I think they're going to be newly energized. Derek Mason, I believe, gave up defensive play calling duties this year. So perhaps that delegation has helped Vandy. Kyle Shermer has been good. But yeah, I don't know.
Notre Dame should destroy Vandy.
Do you think it's possible that it comes out after Brandon Wimbush is done playing like, oh, he's had double vision this whole time? He's needed very serious prescriptions in each eye. Yeah, I'm going to go with Notre Dame here. I think they win this game by 20 eventually.
Saturday, 3:30, playing this one neutral site in Chicago, Illinois. On Big Ten Network, we've got South Florida, a 9.5-point road favorite against Illinois. I would go South Florida minus anything here. And you know what?
Where in Chicago are they playing?
Let's lock this one up, too.
Okay.
They're playing this one at Soldier Field, Dan.
Oh, okay. I mean, USF could be in a bit of a not a letdown after the Georgia Tech win, the last-minute Georgia Tech win. Emotional win.
I'm locking up South Florida. I don't care.
Yeah, Illinois' offense is pretty bad. So, yeah, I'm taking what the line once again.
9.5.
It's pretty comfortable. Yeah. I'm going to take USF here as well. And by the way, if you are a USF fan heading to Chicago for this game, which, by the way, mid-September, perfect time to go to Chicago.
Great time.
Last week, our pal Adam Amin called the Bull Yellow Jacket game in Tampa and gave us our voicemail of the week for Tampa.
Right.
And this week, he is not calling this game, but he has a recommendation in his voicemail for Chicago, his hometown, but because he's heading to Stillwater for the Boise State game, but he felt compelled since, a big game is coming to Chicago. Ty, the voicemail, please.
Hey guys, there are 3 top 25 matchups in college football this week, and we have one of them. Number 17, Boise State, on the road at number 24, Oklahoma State. Pumped for the turnover thrown, for Mike Gundyisms, maybe potential mullet shots. It's going to be awesome. And it's my first ever trip to Stillwater. So since I haven't been, I can't credibly give you a review, but I've been told Eskimo Joe's is one of the best joints in town. If you guys want to share with me some of your haunts on Twitter for Stillwater, Oklahoma, at Adam Amin for such things. So since I can't give you a recommendation or a rec, as the kids might say, from Stillwater, I'll give you one from my hometown of Chicago, and it has a solid verbal connection. I ate at this place with Dan Rubenstein and Jody with an I, and we all took photos, and it was glorious, and I'm sure Dan's already mentioned it, but the sight for such glory, En Hakore, Korean classics and tacos, plus sandwiches, sushi. It's in this little hidden space on Damon Avenue. I highly recommend the bibimbap, which literally means mixed rice. It's really flavorful, a lot of choices that you can go with. And one of the greatest breads you should always eat more of is paratha. It's Indian bread. It's soft and warm, and it's flaky, and there's a slight crispiness to the edge, and it's the bread of choice for the paratha tacos that are melt in your mouth good. That's what I give you for this week's Solid Verbal Voicemail. Talk to you from Stillwater on Saturday, 3:30 Eastern on ESPN for Boise State and Oklahoma State.
So you've been to this place, yes?
En Hakore, yeah, E-N, and then a new word, Hakkore, I believe.
Okay.
Also, Ty, before we move on to other games, 1, it's terrific. 2, I would argue the bread situation coming out of the subcontinent, Southeast Asia, whatever, elite
Elite
Ty.
bread, yeah.
A number 1 seed in terms of regional bread. Paratha, roti, naan, whatever. Unreal. So yeah, if you're in Chicago, either just to be in Chicago or you're there for this game, head to En Hakore. Great meal.
And also, while we're talking about South Florida, South Florida, of course, in Tampa, we got a Verbrew recommendation. We have a new hop-fensive coordinator.
Yes!
In the form of Striker Obi, who...
Oh, yeah.
is not only active on the Twitters, but also helps run the subreddit at reddit.com/r/solidverbal. He recommends the Tampa-style lager from Cigar City Brewing for this week's action.
Okay.
It's readily available. Cigar City, you can find it in most states. I've not had this, so I'm going to try and check it out. See if I can get up to Wegmans and give it a pull.
Hecho a mano. Yeah, Cigar City Brewing. Good logo. That's all I can tell you right now. I've seen the highlight. Yeah. I know this company. Yeah.
2 more very quickly. Missouri at Purdue Saturday night. Missouri, a 7-point road favorite. I don't get this line at all, but Purdue lost last week to Eastern Michigan, and I have a really sneaking suspicion that they might be up for this game. So I think Missouri wins, but it would not surprise me if this one ended up being relatively close late. So let's just say Missouri by 10 and they cover on a late touchdown.
Yeah. Missouri has the clear better offensive situation. I don't know what the weather's like in this game, but Mizzou!
And finally, we've got Fresno at UCLA. Fresno favored by a point.
2 what we believe to be pretty good defenses right now. UCLA's quarterback situation and offense, not great. Fresno's quarterback and offense situation, not great. I think Chip Kelly gets his first win here.
I agree. That is all I have here, Dan. Show running a little bit long. Thank you to everybody for tuning in. Don't forget the t-shirts are available. You can go out to solidverbal.com/store, and that will direct you to the proper locale. Or you can just go out to solidverbal.com and click on the cool store button that you'll find in the top right corner next to where it says listen. It is labeled as store. You can also go on out to solidverbal.com/pick'em, Pickem, and fill out your Pick'em bracket, Pick'em pool. We've got 10 games for you to select from and play along with us, along with thousands, hundreds of thousands of other verballers. I don't know how many we got in the pool. We got a lot. It's a ton of fun. It's free to play. And as always, call our reverb line this week at 408-VERBAL-1. That's 408-837-2251.
Just because, and do call the reverbs, just because that's all you have does not mean that's all I have.
Well, we got to go quick here. We're running short on time.
You didn't even mention Oklahoma, Iowa State. Big revenge spot.
Yeah.
Iowa State last week scoring not 1, not 2, but 3 points in one game against Iowa.
I took that one off the list and I forgot to put it back in.
You did forget to put it back in. That does make sense because this is an interesting game, but we can go through it quickly. Oklahoma, number 5 team in the country, down Rodney Anderson, which is significant.
Yeah.
But hopefully they're able to find somebody to replace him. Iowa State, if the Carrier Dome is weird, Ames, clones.
Okay. Revenge spot here for Oklahoma.
17 and a half points they're favored by.
Yeah, I'm going to go Oklahoma minus anything right now. With the way they're playing, far be it from me to go against that. Give me the Sooners.
I disagree. First interesting road game. I don't know if it's a huge challenge, but first interesting road game for Kyler Murray. I think Iowa State defensively does enough to tamp down this Oklahoma offense that they don't cover. They probably win by a couple touchdowns, but I think they make it a bit of a game because it's a tough road spot, and I don't underestimate those. Miami-Toledo tie. Toledo has started off. They've only played one game. Miami's played a couple. They looked pretty down in the first game. They had a slow start to this game last year in South Florida. Does Miami take a big step forward against Toledo? The Canes are favored by 10.5.
Interesting. I'm going to go Miami here. I don't know about a big step forward, but I think they'll win by 10.5.
I as well will go Miami. Hawaii Army should have a lot of offense in it. Troy, Nebraska. It sounds like Adrian Martinez is going to be out for a little while, but Scott Frost says the prognosis with his knee was about something like as good as they could have hoped for.
Yeah, right.
So it sounds like it'll be Andrew Bunch, the walk-on for Nebraska against Troy, who has not looked terrific early on. Anything there for you, BTN at noon?
I'm going to go Nebraska. Give me Nebraska to get their first win.
It looks like Maryland should beat Temple, who has started off pretty slowly, and Maryland, after starting slowly against Bowling Green, poured it on in the second half and looked good. Pitt, Georgia Tech. This game might be happening week 3, week 7, week 11. Just sounds like one of those games you see come across the bottom line, unless you're a Tech or Pitt fan. But
Georgia Tech.
Yeah, this is Heinz Field. I think I'm going Tech as well.
I'm going Georgia Tech, yeah.
We mentioned it earlier. Bryce Love not playing. It's okay. Stanford has UC Davis. BYU, Wisconsin. Any reason for concern here? Wisconsin favored by 3 touchdowns, which is a lot of points.
I like Wisconsin. Until further notice, I like Wisconsin.
I like Wisconsin as well. They handled their business on the road last year. I think they're going to be all right, just because I don't love this BYU defense. They didn't score enough on offense to keep up with Cal last week, so I'm going there. Duke, Baylor. Duke on the road once again.
Baylor could be tricky.
I think Baylor wins this game.
What's the line here?
6 points.
Yeah.
And it's moved a lot.
I want Baylor.
Yeah, I would give those 6 points as well. I saw a couple other games that were worth mentioning. I mentioned North Texas, Arkansas early on. I think that's worth watching just for this North Texas offense. Arkansas is going to struggle this year. That's just a reality that we're all going to need to make peace with. I think Oregon State can beat Nevada this week.
Okay.
I think Nevada might be a disaster. So I like Oregon State to get on in the win column here. I think that's everything I have, short of one small short request, if I may, Ty.
I can't believe that I forgot about Oklahoma, Iowa State. But in fairness, Iowa State has scored 3 points thus far this season.
You're right. You are right. That's fact only.
I apologize. I hope people will forgive me for that.
Will you please drop that big, stanky, sumptuous, hypnotizing, cherubic drum and fight?
Oh, baby, oh, baby, oh, baby, oh, baby, oh, baby, oh, baby, oh, baby.
I don't even think any of those words were that uncomfortable.
Okay. What do we got here?
We got the Gators of Colgate, have not dropped a game, going to Furman, who have yet to win a game, but going on the road.
Yeah.
going down south to, I believe, South Carolina. Colgate, do they travel well? Does that complete team travel? I say yes.
I say yes.
Call for me.
Got to go Gators here. Here.
The Yaleys, undefeated at 0-0, traveling to take on the Crusaders, also yet to win a game. Holy Cross, do they get it done within the friendly confines?
I'm going to go Yale here, Dan.
I think I'm going to go Yale as well here.
Yeah.
I don't trust. My trust level is this in Worcester, Mass? Is that where?
Sure.
Yeah, sure. Georgetown, 1-1, traveling away from the friendly confines of multi-sport field, going to Dartmouth yet to play.
I'm going to go Georgetown. I think they go 2 in a row.
2 in a row. Here come the Hoyas.
Yeah.
Nelly's a buck now, looking to get in the win column against Penn. These Ivies are just lazy, is what I'm learning.
I'm going Penn. Give me the Quakers.
Give me the Nellies. I think there's something special in the water in Lewisburg, Ty. We've said it time and time again. Lehigh, 1-1, traveling to take on the United States Naval Academy.
I think the United States Naval Academy probably has the inside track here.
I'm going with Navy as well.
Yeah.
Stony Brook. If you're going to give me a Brook, Ty, you might as well make it Stony. Traveling to the Bronx. Arthur Avenue. Fordham. 0-2. Looking to get on the board.
I'm going Rams here. Give me Fordham.
I'm going to go Rams as well. It's the start of something special.
Yeah.
Monmouth. 1-1. Traveling to the Eddies to take on Lafayette, and Easton, football capital of America, looking to get on the board.
I'm going to go Lafayette.
I am too, Ty. We agree.
All right.
That's it.
Longer show than usual tonight, but thank you to everyone for bearing with us here on the podcast. We had a lot of ground to cover, and hell, this is free.
That is true.
This will last
and you get sock recommendations.
We gave sock recommendations. This is going to last you your entire commute to work, both to and fro. Maybe you're running from a hurricane or something. This will give you more than enough runway as it relates to college football here to stay entertained, hopefully, for 90 minutes. Wow. Okay.
It's okay.
Daniel, enjoy your weekend, okay?
Ty, I plan on doing so. If I don't enjoy my weekend, it probably has to do with the good people at Roku. Because, come on.
Provided I am not mobbed by the Iowa State and or Oklahoma faithful. Mm-hmm. It is entirely my fault that I left it off the list. I can't believe I did
so much disrespect, yeah.
For that guy over there. My good friend Dan Rubenstein. For myself, Ty Hildenbrandt. Enjoy the rest of your week. Enjoy your weekend. Give us a holler at 408-VERBAL-1 as you're watching the games on Saturday. And by all means, stay safe and stay solid.
Peace.